Ladies and gentlemen, every morning is a new beginning, a moment when the world is silent and the mind, if you allow it, can become still. It is in this space that your words have power, power to shape your day, power to shape your life. But most people, they rush, they wake up carrying yesterday, they forget that how you begin the day determines how you walk through it. So today, I invite you to stop, to breathe, and to listen to the most important voice of all, your own. These are not just words. These are reminders, anchors, 12 powerful things to tell yourself every morning. Not for motivation alone, but for clarity, strength, and alignment with your true path. Your first thoughts shape your entire day. Choose them consciously. Every morning, when you open your eyes, you are given a choice. A chance to direct your focus, your energy, and your intentions. The thoughts that arise in the early moments of your day carry an unusual weight. They become the filter through which you interpret everything else that follows. Before the distractions begin, before the demands of the world pull at your attention, there exists a quiet window of influence. In that space, you are either the master of your mind or a servant to the momentum of yesterday's thoughts. Most people begin their day on autopilot. The alarm rings, the phone is grabbed, notifications flood in, and instantly the mind is consumed. There is no awareness, no pause, no reflection. And without realizing it, they carry the same worries, doubts, and patterns from the day before into the new day. It becomes a cycle, habitual, unconscious, and heavy, but it doesn't have to be that way. When you wake up, you are not just waking your body, you are waking your consciousness. The mind is still quiet, still receptive. This is the ideal moment to plant something intentional, a powerful thought. A clear affirmation, a reminder of who you are and what truly matters. These first thoughts become like seeds planted in fertile ground. Whether they are seeds of doubt or seeds of confidence depends on your awareness in that brief, sacred moment. Choosing your thoughts consciously doesn't mean forcing positivity. It means choosing clarity over confusion, purpose over distraction. It means pausing and asking yourself, what do I want to carry into this day? It's recognizing that your thoughts are tools, not truths. You can use them to build strength or to reinforce weakness. The key is to step into the role of the observer, to witness the thoughts, and then deliberately choose the ones that serve your highest self. This act of conscious thought selection is a form of training. Just like the body is trained through movement and repetition, the mind is trained through awareness and intentional focus. It may feel unfamiliar at first, especially if you've spent years reacting rather than choosing. But with practice, the space between waking and thinking becomes sacred. It becomes a ritual, a discipline, a moment of reclaiming your inner power. Imagine beginning your day with a single thought, I am grounded and capable of facing whatever this day brings. That one sentence holds more power than 100 distractions. It gives your nervous system a message of calm. It tells your inner critic to be quiet. It invites your strength to step forward. And even if the day ahead is difficult, you move through it from a place of intention rather than reaction. The mind will always be active. It will always produce thoughts, but which thoughts you entertain, which ones you repeat, and which ones you give energy to, that is your choice. And that choice begins each morning. You don't need to wait for the perfect circumstances. You don't need a long routine. All it takes is awareness and a moment of pause. By consciously choosing your first thoughts, you take ownership of your mental landscape. You shift from being led by unconscious patterns to becoming the architect of your inner world. Over time, this practice reshapes your perspective. It alters the lens through which you view challenges, relationships, and opportunities. What once felt chaotic now feels manageable. What once felt overwhelming becomes simply part of the path you walk with awareness. Affirmations build mental discipline and emotional resilience. In the noise of everyday life, where the mind is constantly bombarded with opinions, expectations, and external influences, Affirmations act as a stabilizing force. They are simple, clear statements that redirect your attention inward, helping you stay aligned with your inner strength. Mental discipline does not happen by accident. It is cultivated, and affirmations are one of the most effective tools to cultivate it. When repeated with intention, they reshape thought patterns, reduce mental clutter, and strengthen your ability to focus on what truly matters. Most people underestimate the power of language, especially the language they speak to themselves. Self-talk is constant, and much of it goes unnoticed. Without awareness, it often becomes negative, self-critical, and limiting. Over time, this inner dialogue becomes a script that plays automatically in the background of your life. Affirmations are how you interrupt that script and replace it with one that serves your growth. They are not about pretending life is perfect. They are about reminding yourself of your values, your strength, and your capacity to meet challenges with clarity. Mental discipline is not just about focus. It's about consistency. Affirmations give the mind something consistent to return to, especially when emotions fluctuate or situations become stressful. When used daily, they create a mental rhythm, a steady heartbeat in your internal world. This rhythm allows you to stay grounded even when circumstances outside of you are unstable. A disciplined mind doesn't react impulsively. It responds with awareness, and that awareness begins with the words you feed it. Emotional resilience is closely connected to how you speak to yourself in moments of difficulty. When setbacks come, the natural reaction is often self-doubt or fear. Affirmations are not magic spells, but they are reminders that your worth is not defined by circumstances, that strength is already within you, and that emotions, while powerful, do not have to control your direction. When you use affirmations regularly, you build an inner reserve of calm. You train yourself to respond to adversity not with panic, but with steadiness. There is a discipline in repeating something every day, especially when the mind resists it. At first, affirmations may feel unnatural. The mind might argue, doubt, or reject them. This resistance is part of the process. It shows where the work needs to be done. The goal is not to convince yourself with words. It's to rewire the mental habits that shape your perception. And repetition is what creates that rewiring. What you repeat, you reinforce. What you reinforce, you eventually believe. In times of stress, the undisciplined mind seeks escape. The disciplined mind seeks clarity. Affirmations provide that clarity. They cut through the fog of worry and bring your attention back to center. They remind you that no matter how external events unfold, you still have the ability to choose your response. And in that choice lies true strength. It is not about avoiding challenges. It is about facing them with a mind that has been trained to stay calm, focused, and steady. Emotional resilience doesn't mean you don't feel pain or frustration. It means you don't become overwhelmed by them. It means you can observe your emotions without being consumed by them. Affirmations help cultivate that separation. They give you a space between stimulus and response. They help you remember who you are, even when everything around you seems uncertain. This remembering is powerful. It grounds you, it anchors you, and from that place, you navigate life not with fear, but with quiet confidence. Morning self-talk sets the tone for confidence, clarity, and purpose. The way you speak to yourself in the first moments of the day creates a silent momentum that flows through everything you do. It determines how you walk, how you breathe, how you meet people, and how you handle situations. Those early words, even if whispered in your mind, set the energetic tone for your internal state. You may not always notice it, but the way you talk to yourself becomes the way you show up in the world. Whether it's grounded or chaotic, focused or scattered, that energy is born from your first thoughts and words. Most people wake up and immediately step into reaction. They check their phones, compare their lives to others, and carry the emotional weight of unfinished tasks. In doing so, they unconsciously give their power away. Their self-talk becomes passive or even negative before the day has fully begun. But when you intentionally guide your inner dialogue in the morning, you reclaim control. You begin the day with alignment, not with anxiety. You send a clear message to your subconscious: I am aware, I am present, and I choose how I move forward. Confidence is not just a trait. It is a state of being cultivated from the inside. When your self-talk is supportive, strong, and intentional, it strengthens your sense of inner trust. You start to believe in your own ability to face the day's challenges. Instead of doubting whether you can handle what lies ahead, you affirm your strength. The body responds to this inner dialogue. Your posture changes, your breath deepens, your energy stabilizes. Confidence becomes a byproduct of conscious communication with yourself. Clarity is another result of morning self-talk. In a world filled with noise and distraction, clarity is rare. But when you begin the day by reminding yourself what matters, what your priorities are, what you're grateful for, what values guide your actions, you give yourself direction. It's easy to get pulled in every direction if you don't anchor yourself with intention. Your self-talk can act as that anchor. A single sentence in the morning like "I stay focused on what's important" can become a guiding light through a scattered day. It brings your mind back to the center. Purpose comes alive when your thoughts are aligned with your actions, and that alignment starts with what you tell yourself. It's easy to lose your sense of purpose when you're caught in routines or surrounded by external pressure. But morning self-talk reconnects you with the deeper reason behind your actions. When you start your day reminding yourself why you do what you do, you infuse meaning into ordinary tasks. Purpose doesn't always need to be loud or grand. Sometimes it's a quiet reminder that your presence matters, that your work has value, and that your path has direction. The discipline of speaking to yourself with awareness each morning is simple, but it requires consistency. It's about taking a few moments before the world begins to speak and using that silence to plant powerful thoughts. Whether you speak them aloud or repeat them in your mind, those words carry weight. They echo throughout your decisions, your reactions, and your emotional state. You begin to live your day with more intention, more strength, and more self-respect. There is a noticeable difference in how the day unfolds when you start with supportive inner dialogue. Even small setbacks feel less threatening. You are less likely to take things personally. You remain connected to your sense of worth, regardless of what the outside world reflects back to you. This internal steadiness becomes a quiet confidence that others can feel. And it all begins with how you choose to speak to yourself before the world has a chance to speak to you. Consistency in self-empowerment creates long-term transformation. Real transformation is never the result of a single event or sudden burst of motivation. It is the outcome of steady, repeated action. In the same way that water shapes stone through constant flow, self-empowerment is built day by day through small, intentional choices. The words you speak to yourself, the beliefs you reinforce, and the energy you carry all compound over time. While a single moment of clarity can spark change, it is consistency that solidifies it into lasting growth. Many people start strong when they want to change their mindset or improve their lives. They read inspiring words, feel temporarily uplifted, and make new promises to themselves. But without consistency, those intentions fade. Life becomes busy, challenges arise, and the old patterns slowly return. That's why self-empowerment must be a daily practice, not just something you do when you feel inspired, but something you commit to even when you don't. That commitment is what separates temporary motivation from true transformation. Speaking powerful words to yourself each morning is one of the most accessible and effective practices for creating lasting change. When you consistently remind yourself of your worth, your strength, and your values, you begin to change how you perceive yourself. And when your self-perception changes, your choices begin to align with your higher potential. The key is not in finding the perfect affirmation or waiting for the perfect mood. It is in showing up for yourself again and again, regardless of how you feel in the moment. There will be days when the words feel empty, days when doubt is louder than belief. That is normal, but consistency means showing up anyway. It means saying the words even when your emotions resist them, because on a deeper level, you are training your mind to listen, to accept, and eventually to believe. Over time, the repetition of empowered thinking builds a foundation within you that becomes stronger than any external setback. Long-term transformation is not about perfection, it's about resilience. It's about being able to return to your inner strength even after moments of weakness. Self-empowerment is not the absence of fear or struggle, it is the ability to rise with awareness, to meet each day with renewed intention. And that ability is cultivated through consistency. Just as you brush your teeth or care for your body every day, caring for your mind and inner dialogue must become part of your routine. What begins as a practice eventually becomes your identity. When you speak to yourself with respect, compassion, and determination each day, you begin to embody those qualities. You walk differently, you speak differently, and you handle challenges with greater stability. Others may not always see the quiet work you're doing within, but they will feel its presence. True confidence, true transformation. It doesn't need to be announced. It's felt in your energy, your decisions, your presence. Consistency also builds trust within yourself. You stop relying on outside validation because you know that every morning you are showing up for yourself. That trust becomes a source of power. It helps you navigate uncertainty with calm and success with humility. The small act of repeating empowering thoughts becomes a form of self-leadership. It teaches you that no matter what happens around you, you still have control over what happens within you. Over weeks and months, this practice reshapes your internal world. You begin to expect strength from yourself, to seek growth, and to value alignment over approval. Challenges that once felt overwhelming now appear as opportunities to practice the strength you've been building. The transformation does not arrive all at once, but when you look back, you realize how far you've come. The daily work, the consistent, quiet commitment to self-empowerment becomes the very thing that defines your new reality.